So if I was going to sell my house, what would you recommend that I do
Great question.
to
Great
get
question.
ready?
So there are things you can prep, like you can prep for the inspector or prep your home. You can prep the inspector by making sure your attic access are cleared out. Like just please clean up, like empty your sinks so we don't have to mess around with your dishes.
Yeah.
I'm going to check your oven. Don't worry. I'm going to pull things out before I turn that on.
Right.
You can clear that out. Just clean as much as you can. Make things accessible. Well, put your dogs away.
Yeah.
No unattended children, please. Like that gets really weird.
Yeah.
Not even legally allowed to
Remove
do
locks?
that. Yes.
If you bought or sold a home, which most of us have, you have gone through the inspection process. So lots of questions on, what is important? What should you request when you do get a home inspection? What are the big items? I have a person here today who is joining me. This is Dylan Bucknavich. I say it Bucknavich, but whatever. He said either or, so it doesn't really matter. And Dylan's a friend of mine. He owns his own inspection company now, which is very impressive.
Thank you.
We know each other, though, because Dylan was a realtor.
It was.
I like that you have that experience as a home inspector.
It helps.
But let's just dive into, as far as home inspection goes, the thing that's interesting to me is, are there standards? Is there a checklist? How does that go? When you show up at a property, what's the process?
Yep. Yeah. So you can think of it as code. So we are regulated. Not every state's regulated. Arizona regulates. You have to pass a test. You have to do classroom. You have to do things like that. And then they have something called the Standards of Practice for Professional Home Inspections. And it defines line by line what we're required to look at, what we have to observe and report on, which are two different things. I have to do that. So that is the minimum standard, though. If we don't do that, it's not a legal inspection. You can actually get in trouble if you don't meet those standards.
Okay.
So you can exceed those all you want.
Right. But it's not just you out there winging it,
No.
I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to, be the...
No, it is absolutely defined. There are states like like I'm training one guy who's from California. They're not certified. They make their own stamp. Like they can follow the standards. Like it's a national document, but they can just wing it and look at this or look at that, or they tend to over-report too if they call everything out too because they're scared.
Right.
But,
so you do have a set of standards that you have to go by.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Because I think that's a question a lot of people have.
It is.
What are they supposed to look at? Right. And there are some things that you are not allowed to touch either.
Yeah. So it's
like circuit breakers.
Yes. Well, we're not supposed to flip those.
Right.
The rule is we can use where it's non-destructive. It's non-evasive or evasive. What's non-destructive? Whatever that word is.
Yeah.
And then it's normal operating controls. So for example, I go to turn the air conditioning on.
Right.
I hit the thermostat button. I go boop, and it doesn't turn on. I'm pretty much done. Like I can't go open up the unit and start testing things out. I can't do all that. That's pretty much all I can do at that. So normal operating controls. There's light switches. So if I turn a light on, it doesn't respond. I guess I could go get my lighter and check if it's hot.
Yeah.
But I've done my job. I don't know.
Right.
It can still be done. So things like that will work.
Right.
What are the things we don't are? Yeah, we don't have, and I like to tell people this is not in the standards, but we don't have X-ray vision.
Right. So you don't check for what we call latent issues.
No. Well, yeah, maybe. I'll find a lot of issues when things are replaced, homes are remodeled, and then there are latent issues that I will absolutely find. Absolutely. Yeah.
And explain what the latent issues are. It's kind of like digging a little deeper.
Here we go. So a big one is when, in Arizona, a lot of people don't know, but we do all of our most of our mechanical equipment's in the attic. Air handlers, furnaces.
Right.
When those get replaced, sometimes they're tough to get out. And so HVAC guys will go in there and they'll cut the trusses apart. They'll cut the rafters and then they'll put it in and then they'll try to patch it back up.
Yeah.
And I'll go in there and I'll see that. I'm like, oh, they did that. And it's no joke when they do that. It can be a costly repair.
Yes.
So, you're the realtor expert. Like, if that's a latent issue, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the homeowner even knows about it.
Right.
It's an issue that
right.
it's going to cost money.
And it's interesting to me because sometimes inspection reports come back and clients, if I'm representing the seller, let's say, they're like, I had no idea that was going on in my attic. I had no idea they did this when they replaced my AC unit. I had no idea. Because most people don't go up there.
Most people don't know where their air filters are. And I tell my buyers that because I'll start going over the thing and they're like, I can't believe they did this. I'm like, I highly doubt the seller knows about this. No one sets out to do these issues and break their house. Like they paid somebody. This person came in and they came up a little bit short.
Right.
But nobody, not a lot of people intentionally mislead a buyer or do things to a house
Right.
that hurt it or break
Right.
it. Yeah.
Right. They just don't know.
Yeah. There are bad flippers out there and bad investors that do that kind of thing. They will try to hide. They'll put lipstick
Oh
on a
yeah,
pig.
they're trying to save money.
Right.
So
Right.
we've
Yeah.
seen lots and lots and
Oh,
lots
yeah.
of that over the years.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about in Arizona, what are the most common, I mean, we probably could do like
Yeah.
the top 5,
Yeah.
but what are the most common things that are called out in a
So
home inspection report?
just going through my process, going outside and working my way inside. On the outside of the home, number one, it's two things. It's vegetation up against the home,
Okay.
and it's grading and drainage, where landscaping gets built up to the bottom of the walls or it's throwing water towards the house.
Okay.
Very popular to do.
Should always be
In a
graded
perfect
away
world,
from the home.
you want 3 to 4 inches of clearance between the bottom of the stucco or the siding and the ground and a slope away from the home.
Okay.
Vegetation, that's another one, but you don't want vegetation touching the house, moisture, pests. I call inspectors, we are the vegetation fund police. I've inspected homes that are in better homes and garden, and this
Yeah.
home is gorgeous.
And it's got-
I'm like, it's all got to go.
It's got
Just like rip it all
vines
out. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that dramatic about it,
I
but it's
know.
like, I have to tell them, like, I do termites too. I inspect for
Well,
termites.
yeah, and that's,
And that has to go in the termite report because
does.
termites love the vegetation.
They do,
And when
right.
the vegetation's up against the house, you have to water it.
Yep.
And that can affect the stem wall and the foundation.
Yep.
So it
Yep.
seems silly, but it is a deal.
Right.
Going through the inside, we see a lot of issues with like window seals being busted.
yes. And then you get the fogging.
Yep, you get the fogging.
Yeah,
Yeah, then like
that's
window
very,
hardware.
very common.
That's and people want to overlook that, but they're not the easiest thing in the world to fix.
Right. No, they're not.
No.
Roof.
Yes. So,
Tiles.
roof tiles. So roof tiles, we'll see a lot of broken. They shift.
Always.
They move. A
Every
big one that I
inspection.
see more on new build now than ever. Like for 10 years, it was fine.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to see a lot of flashing issues. Like I get up on the roof now and they have these vent stacks and they're covered by flashing.
Yeah.
And they're not completely covered. So water can get through it. Or I'm seeing just flat out lack of flashing, openings and the like wood framing exposed. Just like, what are these guys doing? I have several clients now buying new homes. They're in lawsuits now with the builder.
Yeah.
Over this stuff.
It's a good idea to hire an inspector
It's crucial. I
when
think
you
well,
when you're
yeah, there are
buying a new build.
there are 3 inspections. Like when you're getting a new home, it's pre-drywall. Before the drywall goes up, all the rough mechanical wiring, all that's in. When you move in, and then the warranty inspection. Now, between those two, take your pick. If you want to get rid of one, get rid of the warranty maybe, or the move-in, either one. But that pre-drywall is huge.
Right.
Because I like just about a month ago, I posted something where I saw a staple had gone through a wall and pierced a plastic pipe, a water supply pipe, going right through it. Like it was a pinhole, but
Yeah.
that would have been,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they would have activated the water and would have flooded everything.
Yep.
So it's crucial to see that stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to
Right.
the other things that are found in a home. AC, correct?
AC. So I
That's-
checked. Yeah, like, there's a good way and a bad way to check AC. Some guys use the gun, like that's
Yes.
a terrible way to do it. By
Right.
the way, so I use a
But it
probe.
seems like 9 out of 10
Yeah.
inspectors
Yeah.
use the gun
Yeah.
and they never get the temperature. Explain
Right.
the temperature split
So
that
it's a
you're looking
split.
for.
I want the air coming out, and the air coming out versus the air going in. I want to got about an 18 to 22 degree difference.
Okay.
Don't cruise. People are yelling at me right now, like, no, it's 15 degrees, it's 16. It's usually 17 or 18 to 22 degrees. That's what
Okay.
you want. You
Okay.
can actually be too high, that's always a weird one to call out. We're like, what do you mean? It's great.
Yeah,
It's coming out cold. I'm like, no, there's something going on. So splits, we'll see that a lot.
Right.
I will see leaking ductwork a lot, detached ductwork. I'll see more than anything air leakage at the air handler itself.
Gotcha.
Where all the refrigerant comes in, there's gaps that just aren't properly sealed.
Yeah.
And then with furnaces, we'll see vents that aren't clear of combustion. They're too close to something that
Right.
can get hot. And on newer homes, especially, I'm seeing weak airflow because they're throwing ductwork and they're overbending them. They're
Yeah.
pinching. They're crushing them through
Well, and
things.
you'll get
Yep.
certain bedrooms that are hot.
Yep. Yeah. Because
You
now,
know?
instead of adding an extra 5 foot of ductwork, they'll put the supply right by the return, so all the air goes right back to the return before it circulates. But
Right.
they don't fix that. It's just
Yeah.
something that I see all the time.
Yeah. And the high loop.
Yeah, I don't want to
That
talk about,
kills
I don't
us
want to
every
talk
time.
about
The high loop. The high loop.
It's every home. So they're going to make me explain it. I want to record myself saying the high loop so that at inspections,
You can just
I
hit
never
it.
have to say it, use the energy to say the words. Yeah, it's the drain from the dishwasher to the disposal.
Right.
It needs to go up before it connects, just so disposal water doesn't go into the dishwasher.
Right.
It's 8 out of 10 homes I see this defect on.
But most of the new
They have integrated.
dishwashers
Yes. Yeah.
have them built in.
Yes. Which makes it even worse. I have to call it out. I'm like, okay.
I
The
know.
drain from here doesn't do
I
that.
know.
I cannot confirm the presence of an integrated high loop within your dishwasher.
Right.
But You've got one. And then there's like the anti-siphon valve on the hose bib, which I say legally put one on.
People
as soon
always
as it starts
remove them.
leaking, you can take it off.
Yeah,
Whatever you
people
want to
always
do.
remove those.
Yep. Popular one inside is a dryer vent.
Oh, yeah.
They never check their dryer vents. I see so many clogged dryer vents. If
Yeah.
you talk to a dryer vent company, they're like, you were burning down houses by not cleaning up our dryer vents. Like, clean your dryer vents. So that's a popular one.
My husband, you're going to laugh at this, but he took like the blower
Right.
from the out, to blow leaves or landscaping and put it in there to clear out the dryer vent.
Really? Nice. Very
says
good.
it worked.
Did it work? So
He says it worked.
Cool. He blew it so the lint came into the house, or he blew it out?
He blew it out.
Okay, good. I was
I
going to say while he was
hope.
outside, I'm like, which way did he blow it with?
I didn't ask, but I was assuming he blew it out because I didn't see it in there. Anyway,
Yeah.
he said it worked. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see that. What else do we see on the inside? Oh yeah, a lot of under sink stuff
Oh, yeah.
with the plumbing.
Yes.
The big one is those emergency shutoff valves.
Little drips,
Yeah,
too, and all of
corroded,
that.
and they look fine, but you haven't turned them in 10 years.
Right.
So as soon as you go to turn them, they're going to break, they're going to leak, or they're just going to pop off in the middle of the night, fill up your home with water.
Right.
So that's a good one. I always recommend and that's a proactive thing. Even
Right.
if they're in good shape, I'm like, probably worth replacing them. Everybody's favorite, the water heater drip pan.
Oh, yeah. I love that one. That
Yeah.
comes up every time.
Not
too.
really required to put in, but if it leaks and can cause damage, I recommend it. It's like an FYI. And in my report, I will say, this is not required. You can install one at your discretion. We always recommend it.
Yeah.
Install it at your discretion.
Yeah.
Not required.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had some clients, and I hope you don't argue this with me, but we looked it up on through the city of Phoenix.
Right.
And it's a gas line.
Oh, the drip line. Yeah.
Well, the gas line, and they're saying it had to be coated with like a black tape or
Right.
something, a coating underneath the
Yeah, where it passes through. Yeah, where it passes
ground,
through. Yes.
underground
Yep.
part of it.
Yep.
But the city of Phoenix said that that is not
Right.
code and you do not have to do that. So we copied and pasted that because my client would have had to have gone through 40 feet,
Right.
5 feet
Yeah, that's fine.
underground.
Yeah.
And he purchased the house with it the way it currently is.
Right.
But he's selling it and then it was called out.
And the home is 10 to 15 years old. There's no issues. There hasn't been
No
any
issues.
issues. Yeah.
Right.
And on that note, like we are not code inspectors. Like I don't, like when I do pre-drywall, yes, I'm looking at code items, but in a home like this, I'm technically not looking at code.
Right.
Like for example, if you don't have GFCI resets, but your home's a 1970s, like it's just a safety upgrade. It's
Right.
not really a defect. It's a safety upgrade.
Right.
Oh, no, we forgot the other most common one is the anti-tip bracket for the oven.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the bracket on the
Yeah.
leg. That's everyone
And
else
also
too.
you
Yeah.
look to see if there's an outlet on an island.
Yep. Yeah.
So like this, we did the waterfall
Right.
edge. So it's look at the little outlet under
Oh,
there.
very nice.
I
I'll see that too. So when those get installed, I have to look inside the cabinet. Oh, sorry, what?
No, I'm like, are you going to say it's not right?
No, that's great. When those get installed, though, I always check inside the cabinet because I'll leave exposed wiring, and then the cabinets can catch on it. I see that a lot too. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Listen.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's jump forward to
Right.
you've done the inspection.
Right.
You are typically what happens during an inspection is, you typically don't like the seller to be there following you around.
No.
Yeah, you
Never
do
like
the
that.
whole
Right.
inspection. It takes 2 to 3 hours
Right.
depending on the size of the home, and then at the end, the buyer typically shows up with their agent. You present the findings.
Yep.
And if you're a good inspector, which I know you are, you try to, keep things
Yep.
calm and
Yes.
say, these are things I have to call out. These are, and sometimes an agent will say, in your honest opinion, do you think we should ask for this? Or do you think this is important? And sometimes you have to do that as an agent in front of your client so they hear from the expert, because
Right.
a lot of times we try to get them to calm down and go, you don't need the
Right.
high loop. You don't need the, drip on the, hot water heater.
Yep.
But it was called out,
Yes.
you have those people that think every single thing that was called out on an inspection report should be repaired.
They do.
And so,
Yeah.
fast forward,
Yeah.
it's up to the agent then to go over that report with their client and then decide on what should be asked for, what's reasonable. And
Right, yeah.
typically we look at things that are maybe hazardous, not cosmetic.
Yeah. Hazardous or expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. And when I do my summary, I'm saying like some of this stuff I have to report on.
Right.
Like it's been like this, it's fine. And I call them punch list items. Like a couple things to punch in like this, and then I'll get that question. I don't answer, would you buy this house?
Right.
Like how much is it?
Yeah.
And I tell them like, I don't know how much anything
Would you
costs
buy
anymore.
this house?
Yeah. But I will say like,
that's
what
not
are
for me to say.
they say like, what are the most important things? I'm like, I don't like to get into that. I'm like, I don't like even get into major or minor. I am so desensitized to things going wrong with houses.
Yeah.
Not just be like insensitive, but it's
Yeah.
like, I don't really care what's wrong with the house. So And for all I know, you needing a new roof might be a good news. It might be
Right.
the opportunity that got you this house. So I
Right.
try not to get dramatic, but if they do ask, I will like, okay, if
We try not to get emotionally involved.
Yeah, if
You're
there's a couple
just-
things that I'd want fixed, if I were buying, I'd probably pick these 2 items,
Yeah.
like the roof and anything pretty much electrical that could start a fire,
Yeah.
like just that hazardous, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But like the broken seals of the windows, I'm like, listen,
Right.
that's a cosmetic.
But that's
Ask
where
it- yeah.
you need an experienced
Yes.
agent to jump
Yes.
in.
And that's where they do that. Yes. Very good. But I will also say, I also honor the agent. I'll say, listen, I need to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
And I'm not stepping on their toes. Like,
Right.
you've got an expert here, ask them.
Right.
They're going to walk you through what to ask for. Like,
Right.
my report is not a request. It's not a punch list to give to the seller.
Right.
Because you may, and I'll see Binzers in the request repair
Right.
form where it says like, telling the seller to evaluate. I'm like, no, you can't do that. Like
I know.
You've got to probably dig further and
Right.
yeah. No, I'll
We
guide them
would
on
never
that kind
say
of thing. Yeah.
evaluate. So the
Yeah.
big things for me as an experienced agent,
Right.
and I tell my clients, I always want to make sure that the AC is healthy.
Yep.
And if you say the temperature split is off or you think there's, suspect there's a problem, then we would request that they get a tune-up
Yep.
and make repairs as needed.
Yes.
So I always would say ask for that. Another thing you touched on are windows. I think
Yep.
windows are very important. And, the roof issues for sure.
Yep.
I think those items always need to be, handled. And then, any leaks.
Yes.
Those are kind of the big items
Yeah. That's
for me as
yeah.
an agent that I would say these are important. These are
water.
things that we should
Yeah.
request.
Water.
Water.
Water entry is when I come to the house, I'm doing my walkthrough, kind of learning the house, and the first thing I'm looking for, I'm sweeping the walls and I'm looking for water stains.
Yeah.
Everyone, that's the first thing I'm reporting on. That's the number one thing you want out of a house.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not like a naturally moldy climate, but it can happen.
Exactly,
But you
right.
need water for it.
Honestly, in my nearly 20 years of real estate, I've only seen 2 houses that have had any mold.
Well, yep. It's,
In really small
Yeah.
areas where there was water that just kept hitting it,
yeah. About
And-
15 years ago, there was a lot of attention on it. And I have a mold kit in my car. Right? I could do it. I could test any home that I want.
Yeah.
I usually don't on resale because, we don't, it's a long story,
Black
but it's,
mold.
yeah.
Do you know what the scientific name is?
Yeah, Stachybotrys.
Stachybotrys.
Yes. There's a bunch of them. Yeah, Stachybotrys. Yeah. And all it is, it's an allergen. Like that's all mold
They're
is.
random
Yeah,
things
like,
you pick up.
yeah, some
and
people are
remember.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, let's jump to the joke is always we love it when the dad comes along for an inspection
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
or somebody that jumps in
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
makes
No, the
things
contractor
seem-
friend.
the
Yeah.
contractor friend,
The-
the dad,
The girlfriend
the
who
father-in-law,
the Joanne Gaines fan.
the Joanna Gaines
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
These people that
Yeah.
come in and then they're the experts, and then
Yeah.
the client doesn't actually listen to the experts and defers to that person.
Luckily, I'm good with personality, so I almost appreciate the challenge of the buyer's dad, the contractor friend. They're like, let's see what you're made of, and I usually win them over.
Well, what do you think of this?
Yeah, if they overstep, I will say, oh, that's a good point, and probably right there. But let's not overlook the fact that I just said this instead.
Right.
And this is not an opinion. This is a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have an opinion, not
Yeah.
a fact.
So listen to the
yeah.
experts.
Yes, and don't follow me up into the attic.
And don't follow them into the
Yeah,
attic.
I've had the dads like, oh, I'm just going on the roof with you. Like, get
No,
off my ladder,
no,
please.
no.
And as soon as I'm done with the roof, I put my ladder in the car.
Yeah. So
Especially if I know
nobody
people are
can-
coming, so nobody's tempted. Like, I don't mess around with that. Like, so things
And
like that.
I typically will tell my seller
Yeah.
not to be there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get a seller that's wants to tell you too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not asking, you have to disclose any
Right.
issues, but there are certain things
Yeah.
that you could just
It's
take
tough,
it too far.
yeah. And I do care about sellers when I show up. Like, I want to make sure like listen, Mike, do you have any questions? Like, have you been through this before? I tell them like, this is going to be annoying. Like, I'm going to be in, I'm going to be out, turning on the
Right.
heat, running
Yep.
water. This is unpleasant for you.
Yeah.
So you can hang out if you want to, you can take off, give yourself a break. And
Yeah.
so I do honor them. Like,
I suggest you leave.
yeah, and I say like, and I'm gonna leave your house exactly like I found it, thermostat settings, everything. But
Right.
anything you need to tell me, or attic's open and things like that. And then sometimes they start spilling the beans. Like, I'm like, listen, dude, it's okay.
I know,
You,
I know.
You don't need to explain that you changed the window blinds.
That's what I mean.
It's all good.
They start spilling
Yes,
the beans
yeah,
on things that
yeah,
don't matter.
yeah. Oh, we
so
sweet,
it's like,
we changed
just
this, we
don't.
changed. I'm like, all good. You're good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I try to calm like, you're fine.
Right.
You're good.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah. I have an interesting story. So we were going to talk about we'll wrap it up here, Dylan, but just a little bit about some of the things that we've seen over the years. A funny story.
Yep.
for me is we were selling a good friend's house, and my husband's a retired police lieutenant, and so his buddy was on the bomb squad, Phoenix Police Bomb Squad, and it was called out that there was like some water, they thought, coming down the wall, 2-story home. There was no water source above this area, no bathroom, nothing like that. So he got out all of his bomb squad stuff, and he was able to like use all of this intricate and
Nice.
prove that there was no water behind that wall. I'm like,
Very
okay,
good. That's
very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. He's like, this inspector just
the-
had this little,
The infrared's nice. I have the infrared gun.
and he busted
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
some heavy duty.
Those are money. Those are good. It's good.
Yeah.
I've got a good story for you. I just thought of a funny story.
Yeah.
So I did an inspection, and I was on a different company. I was training some guys, and I've got this trainee up in the attic with me, and I just see the weird truss configuration. I'm like, where did the trusses go? Like, why does this look weird? And then I go upstairs. I'm in the bedroom, and I see this huge closet, like way too big closet. I'm like, this feels like the rest of the attic to me. I'm like, what's going on? Like, back and forth a little bit, and I realized that they just gutted the trusses to make this probably
Walk-in closet.
10-foot by 30-foot walk-in closet storage room. And I was like, oh my gosh, they cut like 10 or 12 trusses, like big trusses
Yeah.
on a 2-story house.
Right.
And so we call it out, and I'm done. And
I mean,
like,
that compromises the entire
yeah.
integrity of
It was
your
no joke. And then-
roof and the whole house.
Yeah, but the funny part. So a month and a half later, or something, I'm doing an inspection. I'm at the luxury home in PV. I'm showing up, and buyers come in, the agents are there, and guy's like, "Hey, I'm Dylan." I'm like, "Hey," I'm Dylan. He goes, "I know who you are." I'm like, "Oh, you do?" I'm like, "Where do we meet?" He goes, and he said the name of the street, and I was
You
like, I was
killed
like,
that
I was
deal.
like, "What street is that?" I'm like, he goes, "With the attic trusses." I'm like, "Oh," he goes, $30,000, buddy. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm sorry." He goes,
He was the seller on
he
that
was
house?
the buyer. He was the seller on that house.
Right.
He was the buyer at the inspection.
right.
He goes, "That's why you're here today." I'm like, "I'm sorry,
Oh,
man."
good.
Yeah. He goes, but it was funny because I'm like, "Oh, sorry, man."
Yeah.
He goes, like the owner, the people. He goes, "The thing is, our inspector didn't catch that when we bought the house. It was done before we even bought the place, and it
See?
just cost me 30 grand."
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
had no
lot of
idea.
that.
Yeah. And the home didn't go anywhere. It was shifting. Like I got up on the roof. The roof was actually buckling. It was
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
30 grand to fix that.
Oh, my
It was
God.
funny just that look on his face. He goes, "I'll see you $30,000,
Yeah, you're like,
buddy."
I'm so sorry.
I'm like, "Well, the
but-
inspection's cheaper. You're good." Yeah.
Then he used you.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's fast forward really quickly to what can people do to prepare for a home inspection?
Buyers or sellers? What do you want?
Sellers.
Sellers.
Yes, sellers. So if I was going to sell my house, what would you recommend that I do
Great question.
to
Great
get
question.
ready?
So there are things you can prep, like you can prep for the inspector or prep your home. You can prep the inspector by making sure your attic access are cleared out. Like don't just please clean up. Like empty your sinks so we don't have to mess around with your dishes.
Yeah.
I'm going to check your oven. Don't worry. I'm going to pull things out before I turn that on.
Right.
You can clear that out. Just clean as much as you can. Make things accessible. Well, put your dogs away.
Yeah.
No unattended children, please. Like
Yeah.
that gets really weird.
Yeah.
Not even legally allowed to
Remove
do
locks?
that. Yes. Well, yeah, like unlock your electrical panel.
Your electrical
I
panel,
have
if you
I have a
lock
master
it.
lock in the van. If
Good.
you forget to do
Perfect.
that, we're good on that.
Good.
As far as getting the home ready, one thing that clean your air filters. I'd get your AC serviced.
Yes.
Clean your windows.
Yes.
Because
So they
every
don't get
window
clogged.
looks like a dirty seal if they're dirty. It just I'll actually do a trick. I'll actually wipe my finger on both sides of the window, and I get every window. Like
See if
I am
you can
so
see
sick
through.
of doing that. Just please
Yeah.
clean your window.
Yeah.
I'd almost offer to pay for it at this point. I'm so sick of doing it. Yeah, just
Okay.
normally change your air filter. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Those are the things that I
yeah.
tell people. Make sure your light bulbs
Yeah.
are all working.
And there's things that you can impress me a lot. Like if you invested some money, change your emergency shutoff valves under the sinks.
Yeah.
Switch those out.
Right.
Like
Make sure
and if I
there's
look, I'm
no
"Oh, these are
slow
brand new."
drains.
Yeah.
Pull the hair
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got
Yeah.
2 teenage daughters with hair to here.
Yeah.
It's like clean those out.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
Because
that.
those are things that will be called out. So just
Yep.
do it ahead of time. The
Yep.
slow drains.
Make sure you tell me the alarm code.
Yep.
That'd be a good one, so I
Yep,
don't
that's
get
a
the
good
police
one.
called on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just general stuff. I'd say AC maintenance. Get your pool service. One thing that would be great is don't hire. I show up to inspections and they're power washing the driveway. The pool guys there. The
Yeah.
cleaners are there. Please. It's 3 or 4 hours. Just,
Let me have it.
Yeah, just leave the house alone. Just
me have my
deal
way
with it.
with
Yeah.
this house
Yeah.
alone.
And just be ready because it's intrusive. I'm a stranger. I'm coming into your home. I'm going to be inside, outside. I'm going to be running a lot of water,
Right.
using a lot of electricity.
Yep.
It's annoying.
Right.
So just be prepared for that.
Yeah.
But we're good guys. We're not.
I try to get
yeah.
people to leave
Yeah.
sellers.
Yeah,
Just don't be there is the best advice. And
if they
occasionally
ask,
I get a pushback, but for the most part, people are like, okay, we'll be gone.
they're good.
Let us know how long.
But if they push, like I tell them, like, listen, I don't have any authority. You can stay as much as this is your house.
Yeah.
I'm a guest. I'm kind of an intruder almost, but you can, like stay if you want. But when the buyer gets here, it's usually best if they have their time with the house. They don't get a lot of time with the house, so give them some. But then,
they don't get a lot of time with the house. And that's what's really, I'll say to people that are buyers, it's like you go and look at the house once, you write an offer, then the next time you see it, the offer's accepted. The next time you see it is at the inspection. Then you may not see it again until the final walkthrough. So 3 times.
And inspection can be bad. It can be hard on a buyer. Like everything's been great about this house up to this point. Now they're getting bad news, or guess what? It's not perfect. And guess what? I'm still on the quest for the perfect house. Haven't found one yet.
I know.
It's not there.
And it's our job to soften that and let people know. Even with a brand new home, there are going to be things. There is no question.
And I start. That's my spiel. There is no perfect house. I'm still looking for it. I've got a list of items here. Some of these are major. Some of these are minor. It's up to you to decide. One more note on sellers, though. If they're going to be there for the inspection, you have to leave for the wrap up, or just give us space. There is nothing more awkward than a seller just sitting there and then interjecting and challenging, and even if it's friendly, like, oh no, we fixed that. I'm like, I can't change my report. This is going in there. Please just let us get through this, and then you guys can go nuts.
So you can deliver that to to the buyers and be able to have an open conversation about that.
And then the one thing for the buyers to do, because you kind of brought that up, is just make sure this inspection is not the to-do list for the seller. This is knowledge. This is information for you to have. That it's not for okay, here's all the stuff. Get to work. That's not what it is.
I've had those. Where the list is, and you actually can piss off the seller by doing that.
You tip the scale. You ask for too much, and you go, oh, we got it. Oh, you asked for the high loop. That ruined everything.
And especially now that we're back in a more balanced market. A year ago, you didn't ask for anything.
You barely asked for an inspection.
You were lucky to get the house.
Yes.
But now that we're in a more balanced market, it's like, let's be reasonable. Let's be fair. Let's just ask for things that are,
And because with my experience as a realtor, so I started off as an inspector, went into real estate, then went back to inspections. So I will get agents asking me, what do you ask for? I'm like, and they're newer agents. I'm like, listen, I can't get into this too much, but if the roof is failed, ask for the roof. But that's it. Don't start asking for the little things too. Ask for a bunch of little things or a couple big things, and don't mix them up. That's usually what tips it. So
I agree.
Just get the buyers prepared. It's not. You're not gonna get everything.
Well, Dylan, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
This has been so much information because people go through this process very rarely.
Yes.
We do it all the time. So anyway,
every day.
I think it's really good information. So thank you so much for being here. Hey, if you have any questions at all about home inspections, please drop us a question below, and also make sure that you follow us, and you can ask me any questions. You can ask Dylan, and we are happy to answer for you.